Hey everyone, it's Adam again. I've got an email here, a testimony from a woman that I would like to read and share with everyone. This is from Joan V. I was raised in a Catholic, anti-choice household and pulled out of high school health class. We were poor, so I ate most of my meals at my boyfriend's house. When he pressured me to have sex or break up, I had sex with him. I couldn't afford to lose a family as my ultra-Catholic father had been asked to leave ours since he beat up my mom trying to control her. Sadly, she continues to internalize the anti-woman message and is still a Catholic Tea Party member. So believe me when I say I wasn't raised in a liberal, feminazi environment. The first time I had sex, I got pregnant. I knew as soon as I missed my period 2 weeks later. I was 17 and 1 week away from graduating high school. I didn't know I could get an abortion since I wasn't 18. No one told me. I lived in a group home dedicated to helping surprise mothers. Thanks to the Medicaid, WIC, Cal Grants, student loans, and charity, I muddled through. I went to college and am still paying back my loans after graduating in 2001 from UC Santa Barbara. I've never had enough money to feed or clothe us after graduating. I make too much to get public assistance, but could barely earn enough to pay for daycare. Rents in my town were $2,000 a month. I earned 10 and 12 per hour at both my jobs. I worked 50 hours a week with 2 jobs since they were all I could find. I couldn't go back to school for a teaching credential because I already owed $40,000 and I'm on a 20-year repayment plan that will end up costing me $300,000. My boyfriend and I stayed together, got married, and he worked 70 hours a week at 2 jobs, 7 days a week, and went to school for 5 years as an apprentice to be a union electrician. Had we not had a child, I doubt we would still be together. We are not that compatible. We sacrificed potentially happy lives and marriages with others we would have been more suited to, but I digress. During George W. Bush's tenure as president, I was between birth control methods because the pill makes me gain weight and I tried out a IUD, but my body rejected it. After realizing that my ignorance of condoms and birth control pills proved to be life-altering at age 17, we were very committed to always using condoms and something else. However, the condom must have slipped during that time and I got pregnant again. I never wanted to have sex, but when you're married, that's kind of your job. And I would just like to make a little insight here. When you are married, you do not have to have sex if you don't want to. You never have to have sex if you don't want to. If you do not want to and you do not consent, doesn't matter if it's your boyfriend, your husband, your fiance, whatever, you do not need to consent. Back on topic. It's not like I could alienate the person who earned most of our family's money. Again, I realized I was pregnant immediately upon missing my period. I knew right away that hovering on the edge of poverty with an 8-year-old that I could barely afford to feed and house, so for the sake of my family, we chose to terminate that pregnancy. I barely had the $150 to cover my insurance copay. I think I had to pay an insufficient funds fee. Imagine how I would have paid for daycare. I found out early in life that money doesn't grow from trees. I've never had enough money to move away from my expensive area when you have no savings and a child. It's not really feasible to make a move to a potentially cheaper area in hopes of getting a good job. Thanks to the electrician's union, my husband's income started to grow, and we lucked out and bought a publicly subsidized condo in one of America's most expensive housing markets. I still am on the fringes of the lower middle class, and we can't afford to eat meat, go on vacation, pay our healthcare deductibles, afford needed surgery copays, or send our kids to camps or hockey without bouncing checks, asking for scholarships, and doing payment plans. Thank goodness for credit cards and exploitative high-interest bridge loans. I also thank goodness I didn't have another child. If I ever got pregnant again, I would have to do the same thing. It doesn't just save me money, it saves all American taxpayers, not having to subsidize children people can't afford to have. Abortion is not usually done in surgical centers, unless it's an emergency to save the life of the mother or near the end, and then it's usually done in hospitals or ERs. Nowadays, you take one pill after receiving counseling, and then go home and take another pill. Unless you're going to require all homes to be retrofit with surgery facilities, there is no need to require it at a woman's health clinic. I was lucky enough to have a regular menstrual cycle, so I knew immediately when I was pregnant. Not everyone is so lucky. Imposing a 20-week limit with no exceptions only hurts women, some of whom want their babies. My best friend was exposed to a disease that damaged her fetus. Luckily, she was in the time frame that California allows a termination, but she had to make the decision based around these arbitrary time frames that only served to further stress out a young couple who wanted nothing more than to start a family. Now she has 2 beautiful daughters who are healthy. This is a Catholic family who goes to Mass every week, and my friends work with the elderly, and a construction framer husband stays at home with the girls and cooks dinner and fixes up their house. What would have been the point to endanger my friend's life? To prove a point that fetal life is just as valid as living, breathing 26-year-old woman's. In everything we do, there is a trade-off. For example, to bring jobs to your state, you nullify regulations that would be required in other states. The consequence in one case was an explosion that led to death and destruction. Are you going to ensure that never happens again? If one crazy person kills people with guns, you don't take guns away from everyone in Texas. So why would you deliberately endanger poor women to save their children that they either can't afford to have, or who have some sort of medical issue, for example, an ectopic pregnancy when the fetus implants in the mother's fallopian tubes? If you want all poor women to choose to have children they can't afford, then pay women to have them. Give them 5 years off work, paid, and free healthcare, housing, food, whatever they want. However, even in a utopian setting like that, you would still have emergencies that are only discovered later in pregnancy. Abortion doesn't always solve these emergencies, and medical tragedies still occur. But at least the doctor trying to save lives is not hampered by needless regulation and can do what needs to be done to save a mother. Thank you for listening, Joan V. Joan, thank you for sharing this. You're our first testimony, and hopefully we get many more in the future. Thank you.